We're getting our clearest view yet of a large sinkhole that swallowed a Seffner man. The video was released today by Hillsborough County officials. Our Ashley Glass spoke with Jeff Bush's family about exactly what it shows.
A seemingly innocent hole in the ground, hidden away in the small town of Mount Gambier, Australia, became the site of one of the most tragic and unforgettable disasters in diving history. The Shaft, a mysterious sinkhole that lures divers with its narrow, unassuming entrance, is a place that has taken more than just breathless explorers into its depths. It claimed an entire family, 4 lives lost forever in a catastrophe that shook the country to its core. What was meant to be an adventure turned into an unthinkable tragedy, a lesson in how quickly things can go wrong when we push past our limits. At first glance, the shaft looks like nothing more than a small opening in the earth. But, as experienced divers who had explored some of the world's most dangerous caves would soon find out, this seemingly harmless crack in the ground hides a treacherous, labyrinthine world below, one where every decision can lead to disaster. And, for one family, the line between life and death would prove to be far thinner than they ever could have imagined. In May of 1973, 4 experienced divers, including 19-year-old Christine Millett, embarked on what was supposed to be a routine dive in the sinkhole. Raised by a professional diver, Christine had 15 years of experience under her belt. Along with her family, her father, Gordon Roberts, and her cousins, Stephen and John, they felt confident, prepared, and ready to explore the depths of this mysterious cave system. They had done it before, and they thought they knew the risks. But, as the saying goes, familiarity breeds contempt. The group did not account for the unpredictable dangers that lurk within caves like the Shaft. They didn't have a formal dive plan, they lacked a leader, and they neglected critical safety protocols. What followed was a horrifying series of events that ended with all 4 divers trapped in total darkness, fighting for their lives in a maze they couldn't escape. What went wrong? And why did this tragedy unfold in such a seemingly harmless place? Join us as we dive into the tragic story of the Shaft Sinkhole disaster, exploring the series of mistakes and circumstances that led to the untimely deaths of these 4 experienced divers and how their loss changed diving safety forever. This is the story of a sinkhole that didn't just claim lives, it changed the course of diving history. A narrow entrance to the unknown. The Shaft, located in Mount Gambier, Australia, holds a dark and dangerous secret. From the surface, it seems like just another hole in the ground, nothing more than a small opening in the earth. But looks can be deceiving. This narrow entrance is the beginning of a treacherous journey into the unknown. Divers who attempt to explore the shaft must first be lowered into its depths without any gear. It's a daunting start, but the real challenge lies ahead. Once inside, the divers are plunged into total darkness. The only way forward is to retrieve their equipment, which is suspended in the black void. It's not just an inconvenience, it's a life-or-death situation. Imagine diving into the unknown without the safety net of your gear, relying solely on your training and instincts to navigate the dangerous depths. As divers descend further, the sense of isolation becomes overwhelming. As one diver once said, "It's a place where the darkness feels like it's alive, and you're just a speck in it." The shaft's entrance may seem small and manageable at first, but it's this deceptive start that lures divers into a false sense of security. What awaits them inside is a world of danger hidden from view, and for those who are ill-prepared, the consequences can be fatal. The tragic history of the 1973 diving tragedy. May 1973 marked a tragic chapter in the history of the shaft. 4 experienced divers, Christine Millett, Stephen Millett, John Bockerman, and Gordon Roberts, set out to explore the sinkhole. They were a group of family members, confident in their abilities and eager for the adventure. But, as we know all too well, sometimes even the most experienced can fall victim to the unpredictable forces of nature. Christine, at just 19 years old, was already a skilled diver with 15 years of experience under her belt. Raised by a professional diver father, she was no stranger to the challenges of underwater exploration. But, despite their qualifications, something was missing. The team lacked a formal dive plan, a leader to guide them, and, most critically, the necessary safety protocols. They ventured into the shaft without the structure that might have saved them. Christine had once said, "Diving is about respect for the water, the unknown, and yourself." Sadly, that respect would be tested in ways they could never have imagined. The tragedy was not just a failure of preparation, but a stark reminder of how easily things can go wrong when safety isn't a priority. The group's decision to go beyond the planned depth would be their undoing, and, as they would soon discover, the shaft held far more danger than they had anticipated. The dive plan gone awry. The team's plan was straightforward. Stay within the 200-foot depth range, exploring the main cavern and using the natural light from above for orientation. It was a simple plan, but one that didn't account for the unpredictable nature of cave diving. The second day of the dive, however, would reveal the consequences of straying from the plan. Christine and the others decided to go deeper. Their goal was ambitious: to break records and dive to 250 feet, far beyond the depth they had originally planned. They ventured into narrow tunnels, testing their personal limits. What they didn't anticipate was the overwhelming risk involved in pushing these boundaries. As one diver later recalled, "When you're at those depths, it's easy to forget how quickly everything can go wrong." The absence of mixed gases, which are essential at those depths, was a critical mistake. Without proper gas mixtures, they were exposed to the dangers of nitrogen narcosis. At depths like 250 feet, nitrogen narcosis can impair judgment, making even simple decisions feel like monumental challenges. But it wasn't just nitrogen narcosis that spelled danger. It was the simple fact that the group had wandered into uncharted waters, beyond the limits of their dive plan. Christine's father had always warned, "The ocean doesn't forgive mistakes." That day, the waters of the shaft would show no mercy. The silent perils of the tunnel. At depths of 200 to 250 feet, divers begin to experience the effects of nitrogen narcosis. It's a condition that can affect even the most seasoned divers, clouding their thinking and slowing their reaction times. The deeper they go, the harder it is to stay focused. But what made the shaft even more dangerous wasn't just the narcosis, it was the tunnels. As the divers explored further, they entered a narrow tunnel, disturbing the silt along the floor. The silt quickly clouded the water, reducing visibility to almost zero. The once clear passageways were now filled with an impenetrable haze, leaving the divers unable to see more than a few inches in front of them. The tunnel became a deadly maze. As one survivor later described, "In the darkness, there's no up, no down, no direction. You just have to hope you're going the right way." In cave diving, navigation is everything. But with no clear reference points and the silt now obscuring the path, the divers found themselves trapped in an environment that was quickly becoming impossible to navigate. With no way to know which direction led back to safety, their chances of escape were dwindling fast. Panic and disorientation under extreme conditions. In the heart of the shaft, the divers' worst fears came to life. Trapped in the silt-filled tunnel, Christine, Gordon, and the others struggled to orient themselves. Every move felt like a gamble, with no way of knowing whether they were heading toward the main cavern or deeper into the darkness. Panic set in as their air supplies started to dwindle. The silt that had once obscured their vision now became a wall of terror. Without clear reference points, it was impossible to tell which way to go. It wasn't just the lack of visibility. It was the disorientation, the confusion, and the sheer desperation of trying to survive. As one diver later said, "When you're in that situation, time doesn't exist. You're just trying to stay alive." Despite their best efforts to find an exit, the divers couldn't escape. Their air ran out, and the search for a way out was in vain. Christine, Gordon, and the others perished in that cold, unforgiving darkness. Their story serves as a grim reminder of how quickly things can spiral out of control, even for the most experienced divers. The cost of risk and the loss of life. It wasn't until 11 months later that the bodies of the 4 divers were finally recovered. The search efforts had been exhaustive, but the depths of the shaft had proven impossible to conquer. Their tragic deaths left an indelible mark on the diving community, sparking an urgent reevaluation of diving practices. The incident highlighted a crucial difference between cave and open water diving. The shaft's dark, enclosed environment required different techniques, skills, and safety protocols. As one diving expert noted, cave diving is not like diving in the ocean. The risks are different, and the environment is much more unforgiving. The tragedy also revealed just how easily a lack of planning and safety protocols can lead to disaster. It was a lesson learned too late for those 4 divers, but one that would change the course of diving safety forever. Lessons learned and the legacy of the tragedy. In the aftermath of the 1973 tragedy, new diving standards were introduced to prevent similar disasters. Among the most important changes were the implementation of cave diving certifications for all divers. No longer would divers be allowed to explore cave systems without the proper training and knowledge. The introduction of dive leaders and structured dive plans became mandatory. As one survivor put it, "A plan is your lifeline. Without it, you're just winging it in the dark." The tragedy also led to the adoption of buddy systems and the use of safety divers at deeper intervals. These measures ensured that divers had a support system in place, even in the most challenging environments. And the use of mixed gases to reduce the effects of nitrogen narcosis became standard practice at greater depths. Most importantly, the lessons learned from this tragedy paved the way for clearer guidelines for cave exploration. The legacy of Christine, Stephen, John, and Gordon lives on, not just in memory, but in the safety practices that now protect divers worldwide. As one diver summed it up, "We owe them our safety. Every dive, every lesson learned is because of them." The tragedy of 1973 at the shaft is a stark reminder of the unforgiving nature of cave diving. 4 experienced divers, despite their skills and knowledge, were lost to the depths due to a lack of proper planning, safety measures, and respect for the dangers lurking below. Their story became a turning point for the diving community, leading to stricter guidelines, the introduction of cave diving certifications, and mandatory safety practices that have saved countless lives since. The legacy of Christine, Stephen, John, and Gordon lives on in the lessons learned from their tragic loss, ensuring that no dive is undertaken without the necessary preparation and respect for the unknown. In the end, the shaft's narrow entrance serves as a reminder of how easily things can go wrong, even in the most familiar environments. A reminder that in the world of cave diving, the smallest mistakes can cost everything. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time as we uncover more hidden wonders and stories from around the world. Until then, stay curious, stay safe, and keep